It's really nothing new. Uh, this is just gonna be sort of mute your tab if you're going to test. Major feedback. All right. Sorry about that. I just turned down. It's really nothing new. Okay, hold on. This is just gonna be sort of. Hold on. Okay. 1 second. I'm trying to get my shit together. All right. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you're still getting that feedback. Just let me know if everything's okay. If not, if there's any issues. Hopefully, we don't get cut off. I got intermittent internet connection problems, or have been having. Thank you. Let's give it a few minutes. Maybe some more people can join. If you have any questions, anything you guys want to talk about, I'm not here to just specifically talk about any particular topic. We already know all the shit that's been going on with Motorsport Games, and yeah, I don't want to be too negative on everything. So yeah, this is just another article. They're just kind of confirming what we already know, what I've been telling you guys. NASCAR 23 reportedly delayed, for this next IndyCar game that I guess is around the corner. I guess whatever it is, it's gonna be pushed out. So you have a million keys behind you when you live stream. What do you do for a living? No, I don't mind any like I said, this is an open discussion. We're just having a chat. Uh, yeah. I'm in what's called a stationary engineer. I'm responsible for the equipment in a building that I work for the city of New York. This is a courthouse. Um, and I operate the boilers, the chillers for air conditioning in the summer. There's 100 different pumps, all kinds of equipment in the building. I'm responsible for the entire building. Any emergencies in the building, people getting stuck in an elevator, whatever the case is. So it's hard to explain. I do operate the boilers as well. So we got the boilers run all year, uh, even in the summer to maintain hot water for the building, stuff like that. I'm a licensed engineer, so it, there's a there's different types of engineers, and a stationary engineer. That's what we do. Like we operate the building. Um, and yeah, every building's different. I used to work at a hospital many years ago, uh, and I was an engineer there. And we were at the chiller plant just for the AC and all that stuff. So I know it's still kind of confusing. So all the keys in the background, I'm at work basically. So when you see videos and you see that, this background, I'm at work. When you see the other background, I'm at home. So I'm doing this from with a laptop. That's why my internet connection here is sporadic. It's a little harder for me to do things here at home. I got my, you know, super high speed internet. I usually have everything run better. But yeah, that's what I do for a living. I'm an engineer, and yeah, I'm just keeping it simple. That's what I do. Thoughts on Travis Pastrana? Um, I don't know that much about him. I know he used to, wasn't he part of that Nitro Circus thing? They kind of reminded me of Jackass, but like stunt guys. He's a crazy guy. He's yeah, like he kind of reminds me of Jackass. Like he'll do anything, and it takes balls to do some of the shit he does. But he turns out he's a professional driver. I know he's been involved in. Wasn't he doing that Baja stuff? I'm not really sure, but I know he was in Xfinity before. I never really saw any any special talent. Like he's famous already for what he was doing. So kind of being like a celebrity, driver, but didn't he race like a whole season? I don't remember that much about him. Being in the Daytona 500, I think he needs to qualify first. Uh, there's a big field this year from what I've heard. This year you are actually going to have a lot of people not make it. And so it's not a guarantee he's going to make it. But I don't know what else to say about him. I don't know much about him except for that stuff. And I don't remember him actually running that well. Like he was pretty middle of the pack, mediocre. I don't remember ever like seeing him have a really good run. I might have missed out on it, but I do remember watching him. And who knows if he gets a good car, anybody could win these pack races. I mean, that would still be, you know, that would be like an incredible story. I don't see him doing it, like, but you might you if you can survive, he can get a top 10. How much outrage should there be if MSG pushed out 2022 DLC on Heat 5 right when the 20 you know the outrage meter is already pegged. I'm not sure there's much else they can do to, like, at least for me, right? I'm only speaking for myself. I can't get any more outraged than I've already been. This is an entire year of one mess after the next. So if they did release like the DLC, for me it's nothing because I'm not giving them money for anything. I have even refused to go to NASCAR Heat 5 because I don't want to help this company. So I've just put it out of my mind. I'm just strictly on iRacing for the moment. But if they pushed it out, people would be happy. Some people would be happy. A lot of people would be like, it's kind of late. But other people would be like, yeah, it's better than nothing. People are desperate right now. So I don't know how much outrage. That would actually be, for them, good news. But I would think that if they pushed it out, it would be just a halfway broken product. They're just desperate right now. They have nothing. And everything that comes like out in terms of news is all negative. Dmitry Kosko, remember a year ago, he promised everybody transparency. There was one time he spoke, and that was during that bullshit roadmap kind of. They were trying to reset when they were all promising like transparency. That was over a year ago, and he's never publicly talked about any of these problems. He's the CEO. He's the face of MSG. And the only time you hear from him is during these investor calls. And that tells you everything you need to know. All he cares about are the investors and any possible money he can make. He's, and that actually is unheard of, even for somebody as clueless as he is in terms of video game development. Like just a CEO of any major corporation, they understand that through good times and bad times, they are the face of the company. And when things are falling apart like this, you got to come out with something, some kind of statement, even if it's bullshit. And he's hiding under his desk. So this is insane. I'm not sure there's room for more outrage. It's like I'm really I've had it up to here. You think anything Verstappen said after Le Mans will have any effect on that event? Again, I haven't seen a successful, like, I don't follow esports, right? I'm gonna be clear about that. I still don't get the appeal of it. I still think that they're trying to create something that there was really no market for it. They just felt like, hey, this could be a big thing. It could generate money. And now, and I just saw an article today, and I'm not going to read it or anything, but if you look for articles printed today about motorsport games, there's one specifically talking about this event and the esports thing and how that thing just never panned out. So the things that I've been telling you about esports, there's an article right now talking about it. So you Google it, Motorsport Games, make sure that it's only showing you, uh, I think, today's articles. Then there's one that specifically talks about esports. And they explain one of the big reasons, which I never talked about, because, like I said, I don't follow esports. For me, the business model is questionable. But there's another thing I never really even thought about, and they bring it up in the article, that it's becoming an elitist thing. Like you only see professional drivers and people paying 2,000. It said 2,000 pounds, so I'm not sure about the pounds to dollar ratio at the moment, but that's a lot of fucking money. And it's all professional drivers now. Wasn't the whole sim racing thing supposed to be about anybody? Like you and I can just, if you're good enough, like compete. And I don't mind sprinkling in some real drivers, but it's become just an elitist uh, niche thing. So once you lose that, like anybody can be part of this thing. To me, if you don't have that, then what do you really have? Then esports just becomes another racing circuit. It's just an online racing circuit. Still professional drivers, still people with deep pockets who can put in $2,000 or whatever it is to participate in an event. It's just the whole thing is stupid. But Verstappen is right. He's frustrated. I think he got disconnected. They didn't give him back a lap that he lost. And this is a huge event. This is a $250,000 payout that, and this is insane. And from what I heard, the previous events they held all had the same issues. So these guys have all this time to work on this. So um, motorsport.net, I guess the parent company, their whole thing is about esports. And they're trying to force this thing to become reality. They're not even ready to do it. Forget about the fact that I don't believe in this business model. Forget about that. Just they're not even prepared to do it without any issues. So this thing is just, it's a bonfire, but it's a fire that doesn't burn itself out. This company's been on fire for over a year. It's amazing how they're still around. Do you think we will see anyone do the Chastain wall ride at the Clash? No. I'll explain why. Would be the perfect track to do that move. I don't agree with that. If you look at if you look at that track, first of all, it's shaped. It's not shaped like Martinsville. First, it's like half. It's not even half the size of Martinsville. It's very small. That's why you can't run a full field. And it's also shaped like a football. So the corners are stupid sharp. If you tried to ride the wall there, it wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work. The turn is too sharp. Martinsville, it's a pretty sharp turn, but the wall is kind of, smooth and rounded enough, and it worked. Um, it would not work at this track. I'm convinced. So yeah, nobody's gonna try that. If they did, it would be almost like hitting a wall, nose on. It's too sharp of a turn. If you look at the point of a football, it's that kind of shape. Um, yeah, it wouldn't work. I'm convinced. So far, I guess we got three, four people. No, three people. So hopefully more people join. Uh, yeah, it sucks, man. We got nothing but bad news. It sucks, but we're starting to see more people in the community. Uh, they're talking about it. They're finally acknowledging some of this stuff. I'm not the only person that's been talking about it, but um, I don't want to. I Let me leave that alone. I'm not going to mention, but yeah, I'm not really happy to be right about a lot of this stuff. But like I've been telling people, and these people are also now acknowledging, like I made a video a couple months ago talking about we're not going to see a new NASCAR game for at least 3 or 4 years, and that's at least. See, what do you hope is better from last season to this season? I think the tire issues that plagued 22 made for lots of action, but they can't continue to blow tires randomly. I agree. First of all, the safety, right? That has to be better. It has to be improved. And luckily, I've seen sketches of what they were planning to do to address how rigid the rear of the car is. They eliminated a couple of brace beams in the roll cage that were too stiff. So this would allow the back to collapse a little better. And on paper, it looks like a good idea. So I'm pretty sure they're working on things, right? They're not going to talk about every detail, but I do think the cars will be a little safer. The tire issue definitely has to get better. Um, but even just looking at last year, from the beginning of the year to the end, the problems we saw with tires and the wheels getting loose and all that stuff, it kind of started to work itself out as the year went on. It didn't all go all away, but teams started to realize that if we slow down just a contair, right? It doesn't have to be a lot. Like that makes the difference, right? And the pit stops started getting a little better. And um, just I didn't see as many tire issues at towards the end as there were like the first 10 weeks, right? The first 10 races of the year. It got better, and that's good. And I said that, and I'm not the only one. A lot of people said it. It's the first year of a brand new car. There's a lot to learn, and there's going to be growing pains. And these guys are smart. They're going to figure things out. And I did believe a lot of, especially the loose wheel issues. I said it. A lot of this is the teams. They're pushing the envelope, and you can't push. You push and you go over the line, you're going to pay a price. And they started to kind of uh, I should say, just they curbed their own like uh, performance. Like they kind of just pulled back a little bit, slowed things down just a little bit, and the pit stops were getting better, and you were seeing less issues. I do expect it to continue to get better. Has NASCAR said anything about changing the gearbox to eliminate? Oh, thank you for bringing that up. To eliminate shifting at ovals, I thought for sure they would change something so they are not shifting everywhere, but I haven't heard anything. Thank you for bringing that up. I had a huge issue with this, and I do believe I mentioned it because Denny Hamlin, who's not my favorite guy, but he's brought up a lot of good points, especially last year. Um, the shifting at these ovals, it doesn't add anything. And I can tell you, and I know iRacing is not a one-to-one comparison, all right? So I'm not saying that. But even in iRacing, when you're shifting at places like New Hampshire and these other tracks, it doesn't feel like you're gaining or losing anything. It just feels like it feels different, but it doesn't feel like it's making a difference. And it just seems to put stress on the gearboxes. Even on TV, you watch the races, right? I don't want to see shifting at oval tracks. It doesn't just, I could see that if it added something where you could visibly see someone like uh, do do like a slingshot move on somebody or a crossover and downshift and then like get more acceleration on exit and make a good pass, but it doesn't seem to happen, right? The car just seems to stall, and the outside cars have momentum, right? They don't have to lift as much as the guy on the low half of the turn. So it all kind of evens out, and you get a lot of these hard to pass, and then people see this lap after lap, and it's like, what is the shifting? It's not adding anything positive, and it's actually putting stress on the engine, on the gearbox. Get rid of it. I just if you gear the transmission or the gearbox, I should say, if you gear it correctly for every track has its own. They used to have, I think they still do, these mandated gear packages, and that's what they should do. Just mandate the shit. I don't like when they start giving people too many options. That's why I think the racing got a lot better last year. These cars are closer than they've ever been, right? And I think that makes it more about the people, the drivers, the pit crews, the people sitting on the pit box. That's what the competition should be about. It shouldn't be about these guys playing with shit back at the race shop and figuring out little ways. There's a lot of old school people that think that, oh, that was great when they had these twisted sister cars and you could do anything. And then it was so, it was cool. Like, that these guys were just trying to out cheat each other. I don't buy that. Like, to me, it turns it into a clown show. And I'm one of those people that wants to see the sport respected as a sport. And I don't want people being like, these are a bunch of yokels and rednecks just, doing all kinds of crazy shit that they shouldn't be doing. I like the rules. I like keeping it really close. And now, these cars really are very close, right? Yes, there's always going to be advantages, but I like to see it about the teams. But I want to see them do something about the gearbox. I haven't heard anything. And Denny Hamlin was absolutely right. It doesn't add anything. I haven't seen a single race where they're shifting and it makes a difference. Like, I don't like it. Let's see. Do you think Monster Games would reskin the SRX game or NASCAR Heat 5 as a temporary fix if iRacing gets the license? Um, I'm not sure what you mean. I mean, NASCAR Heat 5 is not their product. I guess, are you saying if they buy NASCAR Heat 5? Uh, I don't know. Like, I gotta be honest. The last thing I want to see is a rushed game. I know everybody's desperate. I know we've been waiting a long time. We've been through a lot as a community, but I really don't want to see like something that looks like NASCAR Heat, one of those games, and it's like, okay, we're just skinning it and putting a roster update and just pushing it out. Um, I'm not crazy about that idea. I want to see someone start from scratch, build a proper modern game. And that, honestly, I know a lot of people don't want to hear this. I think that means walking away from like the old platform, like with like the PS4 and the older Xbox. Like, just go PC, PS5, and the Xbox Series X. Like, um, keep it next gen and just give us what you got. You got to start at some point really trying harder, pushing the envelope. It's, to me, not going to be enough. To push something out that's just like NASCAR Heat 5 with an update and just say, okay, no, I don't want that. I know some people are going to disagree with that. I'm just tired. I know a lot of people look back at the Heat series and they're like, you know, maybe we were too hard on them. I don't want to get stuck in those weeds because it's not so much that we were too hard on them. It's that this company, this Motorsport Games, has been so atrocious that it's lowered the bar to the point where now you're looking back and I see people, oh, Technics was actually good. And, I liked NASCAR Heat 4. For me, that was the highlight of the past decade, right? But I want to see that like with a roster update or something? Just no. It's time, man. We deserve better. And you look at so many other sports franchises out there, and they curb stomp anything we've seen from NASCAR. MLB The Show, the NBA 2K series, these games, they're not perfect, but man, deep. They're immersive. The graphics are great. Um, you don't feel like there's things missing. The Heat series is still a bare bones product. I'm just tired of it. I don't want to see it anymore. I'd rather wait. I'd rather wait, man. But just play hardball and wait. And whoever ends up, I only see iRacing eventually getting it. I don't see who else is interested. We haven't even heard a peep. So I just think it's a waiting game. iRacing is just waiting these guys out. These guys are still just desperately trying to do whatever. I feel like my money is on iRacing. I don't see some company coming out of nowhere and just being like, "Hey, we want the license." I don't see it. It's just a waiting game. And if and when they get the license, I hope that they're ready to hit the ground running and show us some innovation. Like like I said about World of Outlaws, it looks like a very cool game for what it is. It's World of Outlaws. It's perfectly fine. But it does remind me a lot of like NASCAR Heat 5. Yeah, so no, I want a fresh start. Twisted Sister cars more like taco cars. Yeah, I fucking now I don't want people to mistake what I'm saying about those cars, right? The racing was incredible. It was phenomenal. Okay, you know, everybody loves the racing, including myself. So I'm not talking about the performance of the on-track product, but the cars themselves, I was not a fan. It just looks like a plastic rounded carcass on top of a body, and these guys were playing too many games with aerodynamics. It got out of control. What made me fall in love with NASCAR initially is my love as a car guy. I'm a car guy at heart. I've been into cars all my life. I've been hot rodding all my life. I used to drag race. So I built cars, I worked on cars, muscle cars from the 70s. And so as a car guy, that's what attracted me to NASCAR. Like I remember the cars from like the 80s, right? And then they still had that feel like these are real cars. When it turned into the Twisted Sister stuff, it just, yeah, I just not a fan of those cars, but the racing was phenomenal. So do you have a comment, opinion on Motorsport Games stock price and the value of the stock continuing to go down? Do you think it'll go below $1 again? I don't know how low it's going to go, but I don't think it matters at this point. I think the stock, even with all the manipulation they've done in December, even getting extra money, which we never heard who it came from, right? This, phantom investor, in my opinion, it's a big investor who already poured money into the company, and they were trying to recoup their losses by pumping up the stock a little bit. And some of these guys, these are big fish, right? We're not talking about working class people. We're talking about big money players. These people play with the stock market, and somebody probably said, "Here's another couple mil. Let's," they did that split stock thing, whatever, and it really didn't help. And it's just that was a momentary bump, and it didn't do anything. So this company's going down. It's just inevitable. This is no way this they can ever recover from all this shit. Now, if you look at this article going all the way down, it does say that this IndyCar game is coming, right? And it's set for spring. So this is supposed to be out within the next 3 months. There's I don't I'll believe it when I see it, but I'm not closing the door completely. Obviously they are working on something. They've pulled people off of all the other projects. But as I've told you, look at what it says here. Despite this, we still haven't seen any gameplay footage, while early screenshots have shown off a highly detailed Dallara chassis. So they have nothing to show. A game that is that deep in development and it's only a couple months from release, you would think just to drum up some. You want to talk about stock? Somebody just asked me about stock. The best way to pump up the stock price is to actually show people a product. How about a fucking quick gameplay clip? Something. More screenshots. How about a fucking couple of words? A press release. This game is only a couple months away, and there's nothing to show. That's why I don't. You got people in the community who are like, yeah, the game's coming. They're so sure of it. they might put something out, but I could only imagine the condition this thing's gonna be in when it comes out. All is lost with this company and the future of NASCAR. Console gaming, save some money, invest it into iRacing. Sure, it'll be more expensive, but we deserve better, and it's awesome for that long run. iRacing is expensive. I personally, all I can tell you is there is fun to be had. It is a quality thing, but you really have to be more of an online guy. It does have AI racing. The AI racing isn't bad. You do have to tinker with it a lot to figure out because the settings are all over the place. Like, at one track, a specific setting, difficulty setting, whatever the case may be, it's perfect. And then you go to the completely different track and you have to spend time, you got to run a lot of laps against the AI to figure out where to move all the settings to get a really good experience. So you got to put time into it and work. So it's a good product. I've enjoyed it. But you got to be honest. Like, this is not going to deliver that video game experience. And a lot of us, especially myself, I want a fucking video game. I miss that getting immersed into just the world of a video game. Um, iRacing is good for what it is, but it's just jump in, run a race, jump out, run a race. It's an online racing service, and it is expensive, and they double dip, meaning you got to pay a monthly fee and you still got to pay for all the cars and tracks except for a handful that they give you. I'm not crazy about that business model, and I got to be honest when I tell people about it. Yes, there's fun to be had, and depending on your budget and how much you're willing to spend, it could be worth it, but I'm not comfortable selling it to people. Like, I'm not going to tell people, yeah, go get it. Like, a lot of people might jump in and feel like, man, this is a lot more money than I thought it was, and is it worth it? And I don't want to put myself there. Uh, a lot of people love it, and a lot of people will tell you, yeah, it's a little too expensive. It's not worth it. I'm not sure what else to say. And you're talking to somebody that spent stupid money. I mean, I don't know how many of you have seen my setup. I don't regret it. I'm enjoying it, but it's because of that motion simulator and all the shit that I bought that elevates my experience. So it's fun for me. And that motion simulator also works with other games, um, Project Cars, a lot of other stuff, right? Forza, all kinds of stuff. So it's not just for iRacing, but it has completely. It's like a steroid boost to my enjoyment of iRacing, right? Um, but I've spent a shitload of money, man. Uh, that wouldn't be most people's experience, but still, you got to get a wheel, pedals, all that is, yeah. Think long and hard about it. iRacing is lacking. Yeah, like I said, it's not a video game. You know what I wish, and I said this before, if iRacing was to work on a whole presentation user interface just for the AI, where you can actually where it's a video game because they already have the AI and the tracks, right? So adding presentation, a stat compilation, uh, it's like your your presentation is a fucking one screen after the race. It's a newspaper article. It looks like something from like 20 years ago, and that was fine 20 years ago. It's 2023. It's but it's iRacing. So I don't complain about it. I don't want people to think, what the fuck this guy wants. That's not what iRacing is. I know that. But what I'm saying is it would add a lot of value for me. And I think a lot of people would love that, right? A lot of people want that video game experience. It's not all about racing online. Yes, that's fun, but it's also frustrating. Take it from me. I'm so glad I invested into PC and iRacing. Been a member for 13 years. It pays off. Yeah, like I said, a lot of people love it. A lot of people have no regrets. But we got to be honest. You know, I if you add up the cars, the tracks, you're well into $500-600 range. Okay, if you're really like, hey, I'm a hardcore NASCAR guy. I'm gonna go get every track, every car, all this stuff. On top of that, you're paying monthly subscription. It's like, to me, iRacing, as good as it is for what it is still overpriced. Just my opinion, and I can afford it. I'm not like hard up for money. It's not hurting my wallet, but just because you can afford something doesn't always justify it, right? So I'm just being honest that it's sort of a give and take situation. What do you mean by lacking? Just wondering. Well, somebody else said it was lacking, and I kind of agreed. Well, like I said, the lacking part of it is, like I said, if you already have AI, you could add a little more to it just to give it a feel, sort of like a video game. So if you want to just race the AI and have a full, like, more of a video game experience. I don't expect it to be a full blown video game. Just something, add more to it, right? They make a lot of money. They could afford to do it. Uh, that's just me, right? But I'm not complaining. I'm not making a big deal out of it. I know what iRacing is, right? So I'm not trying to start a whole new lane, right? Uh, I want a fucking video game, right? And it's not gonna be part of the iRacing service. However, iRacing is in the business of making video games now, so I am excited to see what they would do, right? They have Monster Games under their belt and this Orantes developer, so I am somewhat confident that they could develop something good. But like I said, I am a little bit worried. Monster Games has been doing the same thing for a while now, and I don't want to see something that looks like NASCAR Heat. I want to see something fresh, something new, and push the envelope. Be a little more innovative. I am kind of worried that a future developer is still going to try to make something that's still compatible with PS4. And to me, the last gen, you gotta at some point cut the cord and leave it behind. I know people are gonna not like that comment, but if you really want to see innovation, a lot of that innovation is being held back because these developers are having to make games that also work on a previous gen, which a lot of people still own. I get it, but you gotta at some point, you know, people are, including myself. I'm not that impressed with what I've seen with the next gen so far. These consoles are expensive, but they're out. They've been out for 2 years now, and we're not seeing mind blowing improvement. We're seeing improvement, but you still got these games that are cross-platform. Like, they're going from PS. They're also available on PS4, PS5. You gotta kind of leave that in the past so that you can build more advanced shit. It's 2023, so that's delayed. What a lie! It will never come. Yeah, I mean, look, the thing with irate with hold on a second. Man, I went down too far. Bear with me. More and more people are joining. Welcome. Anyway, this IndyCar thing, you know, they lie about everything. And like I said, they haven't shown anything. But they're still holding on to this shit saying it's coming. And they're not saying it's coming in 6 months. It's right around the corner, supposedly. So, I mean, I I don't know why I keep questioning them. Like, they would fucking lie still. So I don't know. I don't know what to say about this fucking IndyCar game, but iRacing doesn't have a career championship or challenge mode. Online lets you play in cockpit. It is incompatible on controller. Um, you're right about all that. However, I thought I isn't it compatible for a hand controller? I don't know for sure, but I could have sworn people have played on a hand controller iRacing. I might be wrong. I don't know for sure, but I'm not sure that's right. I think you can play on a controller. I think you would be, man, that would be hard, I think. But I highly doubt IndyCar game coming out. Yeah, a lot of people have their doubts, and I don't blame you, including myself. I might doubt, but I'm like, there's that 5%. Like they're working on something, right? So they've already invested. That I am convinced they've done something. I don't know. I don't want to say anything else about this IndyCar game. I just don't know. It's half made, just like NASCAR 21. If it comes, it'll be half made. That's more or less my feeling. I think, yeah, I think they're gonna just release something. They're. I mean, this company can implode completely at any moment. How they're still holding on is beyond me. But they're gonna have to declare bankruptcy at some point. I can see what you mean by that. iRacing is a simulation trying to be more accessible, if that makes sense. There's a championship mode for AI that you can set up. Yeah, it's like you I do commend them, right? Because the I will say, once you put the time in, right? Let's say you're going to race at Homestead, you got to run maybe 20, 30 laps against the AI and then go back, adjust the difficulty and the spread and all that stuff. Go back, run another 10, 20 laps. You really got to spend time. Then when you feel like, okay, this is competitive, but it's not too hard. And I feel like I'm getting uh, a good time out of it, right? Whatever your comfort level is, and then you go and you start the race. That's my suggestion. That's what I did when I ran a season, um, and it is enjoyable once you spend. But it's you do got to invest so much time, and that's because iRacing hasn't put in enough time. Like they have it working, it's just they haven't fine tuned it. And they just don't spend time on that because iRacing is an online racing service. That's their bread and butter. And I'm not sure they can ignore that to go spend some time on the AI. That's why the AI took so long. They announced it, I forgot for when it was supposed to come out, then it was delayed and it finally came out. So I'm very happy with the AI and the behavior, right? But it's not perfect. And there are a lot of glitches here and there where sometimes under a green flag pit stop, cars will get stuck on the apron. It doesn't happen all the time. It is rare, but it happens, right? And these are things that you just got to spend more time on. But I've seen enough to know that they could totally create an amazing, amazing game just off the AI in iRacing, right? They could do they could recreate like NASCAR. Remember NASCAR 2003, the PC, sim. Now I'm not talking about Thunder EA stuff. I'm talking about the PC stuff. That's an amazing fucking game. They could recreate that and even better, like if they want to. So I know they can do it. Just judged on the state of the AI today, I am very impressed with it. But it needs work and it needs more time. So but they're not going to do that. It's going to take another couple of years just for them to improve it, maybe add a few things, because that's not their focus. And I get it, right? Let's see. It's half made, blah, blah, blah. Comes, it'll be half made. Hey, Disco. Hey, Ben Norton. Ben Horton. Sorry. I don't know why I said Norton, but Horton. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a while. I remember that name. Yeah. Good to see you. Controllers are funky, but it works. But you can tell it's meant for a wheel. I get what you. Yeah, so it does work with a controller, but yeah, it's made for a wheel, right? Um, I think only a troll would try to play with a hand controller. Uh, I don't know. Let's see. That's why my goats sit on my shelf with my PS2 plugged in. NASCAR Thunder. Hey, yeah, if you got a PS2, if I still had a PS2, I would spend a lot of time on it. I know there's emulators, but as you guys know, my PC savvy is very low, right? I have a hard time setting up a fucking live stream without something going wrong. There's no way I'm gonna be able to fucking download, because it's not just downloading an emulator and all this shit. You got to know how to go into the files and do all kinds of shit. And I know there's tutorials. It's like it just looks. My brain hurt. My head hurts just thinking about what it would take. And I don't. Could it work with a Fanatec wheel? Like I'm not even sure that. I'm sure they figured something. I just it's way too difficult. Like I don't even. I don't have the time. I barely have time for what I already spent time on. I just started playing Red Dead Redemption 2 again. I started the story again. Uh, so I don't have a lot of free time and just, but yeah, if you got a PS2, man, that's cool because you could play that. I know I could probably pick one up on eBay, but nah. I would want to play on a wheel, right? I don't want to go back to playing on a hand controller again. All right, so let's see. What would you think about Xbox and PlayStation each making console exclusives? Would it increase the quality because they're competing developers? I doubt it would happen, but what if it? I don't know what you mean. Like each making console exclusives. Are you talking about like a NASCAR video game? Because they don't make games, right? They're just console makers. Each making console exclusive. Or you're just talking about all games, right? What do you think? What would you think about making console exclusive? Would it increase the quality because they're competing developers? Yeah, I'm not really sure what you mean. Now, if you mean exclusives, like like Sony has exclusive games that doesn't Microsoft doesn't have, and then Microsoft well, like we've already seen throughout history. Uh, I would want everyone to have a chance to play, right? Like, remember when Grand Theft Auto was exclusive to PlayStation? Um, I didn't think that was cool, and I'm a PlayStation guy, but I want everybody to have a chance to play. Uh, so I don't like the exclusivity anywhere. But I'm not sure what you mean. Maybe you could reiterate. I think that's what you mean, but maybe not. You touched on it right there. iRacing doesn't have the video game factor. It's more simulation than video game. Yeah, it's not a video game, and that's okay, right? I don't want people to think, oh, this guy's complaining that iRacing is not a video game. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying that it is what it is, and when you spend money on it, that's what you got to keep in mind. That's all. That's what it is. And there is a place for video games, and I think people that's what they want. They miss that. They miss that game quality that we had with like NASCAR Thunder 2004 or Dirt to Daytona. Those games were deep, they were immersive. You really got lost in the role playing of being a professional race car driver in that world. And that's what NASCAR games have been missing. Like even though Heat, the 704 did a decent job, right? With NASCAR E4 is it's actually a commendable step in the right direction, right? But it's still missing presentation. Even the stats, they finally added it, right? But it's detached from the career. And you play games like MLB The Show and NBA 2K, the stats are a vital part of your career. When you do something on the court or the field, the game lets you know if you break a record or if you pass somebody on the all-time a doubles list for a season, or three pointers for a season, or you scored the most points in a game. The game actually tells you about it, right? That's when I talk about stats, that's the level I want to see. If you pass fucking Rusty Wallace on the all-time win list, I want the fucking game to talk about it. I want the announcers to talk about it, like post race, right? How about somebody interviewing you in the pits? And it's like, hey, you just beat Rusty Wallace. You just passed him on the all-time list, and you can answer questions. It's like, don't you want that? Isn't that? Wouldn't that be That's what I want. That's what's been missing. And it's not rocket science. Like these are basic things. That's why, I don't want to see these, whoever makes a new game, I don't want to see a fucking bare bones, you know, hey, oh, it's okay. It looks like NASCAR Heat 6. Like, I don't, I want more than that. Here's my thing 2009 to 2023. The same old song and dance has been going ongoing. It never made a true recovery. And today, if a new company came in and invested and made the best game ever, still. And personally, I think since '07, it's been going downhill. Like, if you really want to be technical, it's been going down steady since then. And then we had a slight uptick with like I said, with NASCAR Heat 4. But yeah, I can't fucking believe that we have all these years and it's just nobody gets it. I've been talking about this shit for 10 years and nobody gets it. Yeah. We haven't had a good game since '04 with 2005. Yeah, like I said, that's really when I think of really great games, that's where you have to go. 2006 was pretty decent, right? But it was a step down technically from that. Austin Nance, how you doing? Same to you, man. Uh, I've never seen someone get on iRacing and have an immersive experience where they sign contracts, buy teams, build cars, hire drivers while sitting back in their recliner. Yeah, of course, because that's not what iRacing is. So I get it, right? But that's what people want. They want all the bells and whistles. If you spend time, please go play MLB The Show. Go play NBA 2K. I scanned my fucking face in the game. I don't know if you guys seen. I did a live stream the other day. I'm playing as myself in the game. I can't tell you how cool that is. Like I love shit like that. I'm in my third season. It's like there's so much that happens in these games, and it's half the fucking game isn't even the gameplay. It's all the other management shit and the contracts and all the shit that happens out off the court. It's just you really got to spend time with these games, and then you'll understand what I mean when you and then you go back to one of these games, any of these games, going back almost 20 years, and you're like, damn, where's the fucking this? Where's that? This is just jumping from one race to the next. Nothing really happening. It's very bare bones. What are your thoughts on how iRacing handles being criticized? They seem to be offended from what I've heard. I'm not sure about that. I don't know. I have heard in the past that they're kind of, yeah, they kind of got to stick up their ass. They don't like criticism. I think some real professional drivers had some criticisms. They don't like that. They like to silence that stuff. I've heard that. Yeah. Um, I'm never a fan of anybody or any company that is not receptive to criticism. First of all, nobody likes to be criticized. It's not fun, right? We all want everybody to agree with everything we say. It's human nature. But you cannot let yourself get to the point where you're just silencing critics or ignoring them, right? If there is legitimate criticism, you answer it or you accept it, right? Because if something's true, at some point you have to acknowledge it, try to learn from it, or if you feel that you're still in the right and the criticism is not justified, then defend your position. iRacing, yeah, I've seen that, and yeah, it just makes them look elitist. I'm not cool with that. I don't like that at all. All right, let's see. Hold on. I stay away from online racing. unless it's with friends because leagues and strangers are just awful. Yes, I can co-sign that. They bicker and even stalk people who bump into them. Too many screwed up stories. Yeah, I tell you, man, I've had a lot of fun on iRacing. I don't want people to think that I'm down on it. I still enjoy it. I'm on it every week, but I I'm not on it that often. And I'm telling you, I've had at least as many negative experiences as positive, and I've had some really bad experiences. And it's just what you get when you race people online. You don't know who's who, and if you that's what video games do, right? It creates the most the realistic atmosphere in terms of, because look, I get it. Racing real people online is obviously more realistic because it's real people. But I'm not talking about competitiveness. I'm talking about the atmosphere, right? Video games are designed to keep things close to real life. When you race AI online, technically, right? Forget about all the shitty AI. But just like when it's done right, you get that feeling of this is what a real NASCAR experience is for a real driver. When you go to iRacing or you race people online, don't tell me that's realistic. That these people pulling these ridiculous video game moves, that this is what real life racing is. It's not. Nobody in their right mind is going to say that. Kids think that. That's why, when people say promote it as, hey, if you want the most realistic thing, you got to race people online. No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with it. Cuz the shit people do in a video game, don't tell me they would try a lot of these moves in a real race car. Okay? That's why it's not really that realistic. Now you could tell me it's more enjoyable to you because it's you just knowing you're racing real people, the unpredictability of it. I buy that. But there is something that's underrated about video games and AI and all that stuff that people have taken for granted. That's why I talk about these things. I'm the only one that's really talking about this shit consistently, right? Through 10 years because I understand the importance of it. Now, you look at a lot of channels, a lot of other people, and yeah, they're online racing people and it's a shit show. So, if you want to tell me that's fun, I'm not going to argue that, but don't tell me that's realistic. Don't tell me that's like jumping into a cup car on Sunday and racing for real. Don't tell me it's the same. It's not. So that's my point. Disco, you're a freaking legend. I appreciate that. It's always good when people commend you. I'm not going to lie. I appreciate it. I'm just kidding. The PS5 is not a major upgrade over PS4 or PS3. I disagree. Technically, technically, what it's capable of, it's a massive improvement. Okay, technically, the problem is that because developers are still developing for the PS4, they can't. There are things they can't push. They're not even pushing the PS5, and same thing with Xbox Series X. They're not. Those consoles are not being pushed to their limit, and we're 2 years in. So it is a major upgrade. It's just that if you spent the money, you're yeah, you're feeling like it's not worth it. And I wouldn't argue against that. But it is a major improvement technically because what the hardware is capable of is way more than what we're actually seeing. And until these developers just cut the cord and say, okay, the PS4 has been around since how long? It's time to cut the cord. We're focusing slowly on the current gen, and we're gonna push, and we're gonna be more innovative, and that's the difference. So I respectfully disagree. Hey, Tom Freeman, the new Forza Motorsport game being released in the spring is supposed to be amazing. Yeah, I don't know. I got to look more into it. All those Forza games, I got to tell you, they are impressive. Like just visually looking at them, I like what I see. I mean, that's an Xbox thing, so I've never really played it, but I know they're available on PC, and who knows? Maybe I'll pick it up. I might consider picking it up. All I know is I never invested in NASCAR 21, never will. I said 3 months before that game came out it would be a flop, and NASCAR Twitter verbally crucified me, saying it wouldn't, and then it flopped. Well, congratulations for showing restraint and not being a lemming. I told people don't buy the game until you know what it is. And I'm going to tell you guys in the future again, stop blindly pre ordering and buying these games on release day. Give it a week. Give it a week. You won't die. You could watch gameplay, you can get people's reviews, you can get people's opinions. I'm not saying just take my opinions. I've always told people, um, you can listen to me, but hey, go don't get all your information from one source. Don't just listen just to me. Get your information, give it a week. Then if it looks good and you're hearing a lot of positive buzz, then go run buy the game. But don't blindly buy these games on release day because it doesn't make sense as a consumer. Just we have to break that, and we got to show these developers that they can't just get money that easy. They have to earn it. It sucks that in today's world of NASCAR game where it's apparently impossible to add the All-Star race, add duels, clash, that we'll never get North Wilkesboro in a console game. Yeah, listen, man, the state of the games right now, it's just even small details like that. It's bad, man. And this fucking motorsport games, it's not all them. I just want people to understand this is a problem that's been going on for almost 20 years. This decline of games, NASCAR just standing around with their thumb up their ass, not getting involved, um, while these games get worse. This is destroying a future generation of possible NASCAR fans. It's like, what the hell's going on? So there's a lot more than just motorsport games. This isn't all motorsport games. Like they're to me they're the exclamation point. They're that rock bottom. They are the culmination of everything wrong with the gaming industry and what's been happening in the past 20 years. Look at what they've been doing. They got this IndyCar license, uh, and they're just monopolizing every license they can get their hands on, and they're not producing anything. So they are single-handedly right now stifling the whole market. But this isn't all on them. This has been building. Remember when 704 first mentioned esports and I fucking told you guys right away, I don't like this shit. I don't like where this is going. And everything I've been telling you guys, it's just all coming to fruition. It's not impossible. We just don't have people who care. If 704 games didn't get brought out in 2019, the Clash and the All Star would have come back in 2021. Yeah, look, 704 was headed in the right direction. I just feel like it was painfully slow. They were just dragging their feet, and it's just getting little additions like that. Yeah, that would have been like the next edition. Like they were just moving too slow. It just every year they were telling us, yeah, we're gonna, we're thinking about a paint booth. We're thinking about a paint booth. We went 5 fucking games, never got a paint booth. So yeah, I don't want to see that baby step garbage anymore. Now, if you come out with that first game and the first game is solid and it has all the main ingredients, and then you chip away at it, I could kind of live with that. But when you have a first game that's always fucking bottom of the barrel, bare bones, nah, we can't go through that cycle again and again because they weren't stupid, and the marketability of that is huge. I mean, Disco, come on. Uh, that's fair. I agree to a point. Shouldn't take years to get. They were just taking away too many small steps. Wouldn't really think outside the box. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Like at some point, these guys they gotta be more innovative. And we're talking about basic features. I'm tired of that. Like I've been talking about this shit for 10 years. These people and they keep getting away with it because people run out and just hand over their money blindly, and then they're upset when they find out it's just another roster update, right? With small improvements. 25 wins. Who got 25 wins? What are you talking about? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Maybe you'll explain it. I'm talking about JC 1424. He said something about 25 wins. I don't know who got 25 wins. Yeah, with my exclusive comment, I meant Xbox would make one game and PlayStation would make one. They would compete for who would make the best NASCAR. Oh, okay. Like they both have their own version of a NASCAR game. Well, like I said, Xbox is not a developer, and neither is PlayStation, right? Um, you know, they don't make games. Now Sony does have a studio. They make like MLB The Show, right? And I'm sure Microsoft owns a lot of studios now. So yeah, technically they could make a NASCAR game. I guess if Sony made like I don't know, man. Like I don't want to see that because yeah, it would be competitive, but people, if you're an Xbox guy, you're not going to leave Xbox to go to and buy a PlayStation because their version of a NASCAR game is better. Like I don't see that. I don't see the benefit of it. Uh, yeah, I want to see anybody who wants to make a fucking game make a game, no matter who it is. But yeah, I'm not sure about that. Also, the fact that we can't even get a proper pre-race experience. I guess you're talking about. I guess it doesn't matter. The game, yeah, any game. I mean, they sold Ignition on this all this crazy presentation, but really the presentation is like kind of it's not a lot. It's that pre-race where you see the Star Spangled Banner and up whatever driver standing there in the pits is like that's it. I was expecting a lot more presentation, but then we found out they cut out a lot of shit that they had planned for the game because they just wanted to rush the game out. By the way, fuck, I do not want to talk about this guy. Let me leave that alone. I'm sure that at some point, let's see. They almost banned Scott Dixon. Why? Are you talking about iRacing and are you talking about criticism? Maybe. I don't know about Scott Dixon in particular. I think the racing is fun and all, but all the off track stuff where there is so much they could do would make it 1,000 times more fun. That's what a video game is supposed to provide, right? Of course, the most important thing is the gameplay, the racing, right? We get that, but all the off-track stuff, there should be something there. Just look at the Formula One games. It's deep, it's immersive. They have even fucking wind tunnel testing. It's like the game is deep. That's what we should have been getting from NASCAR games years ago. Going race to race gets real boring real quick. Yeah, like I said, look, the racing, of course, is the most important thing. It's fun, but yeah, you need a lot more going on where you're thinking about, okay, what am I going to do? How do I need to improve my race team? Or, get a better sponsor, make more money. There's so much that needs to be happening. iRacing is controller compatible. Yeah, okay, that's what I said earlier. It works with a hand controller. Have you ever heard of Jason Jacoby? Yeah, I know all about him. I've seen his videos. I've seen some of Austin Organowski's videos about him. That guy is a mental patient. Yeah, that's a fucking real. I've seen the videos. I'm not saying I'm an expert on his background, but man, that guy's, yeah, he's a delusional mental patient. I've been playing NR 2003 almost exclusively for the past 3 years. I don't think we'll ever see that kind of customization in a NASCAR game ever again. Sadly, I think you're right. Galley's here. Hello, Galley. He retracted his message. Okay? I don't think NR 2000 even has much customization. You just a modding community with a paint shop. You got to be really familiar with. Yeah, like I said, a lot of stuff that you really got to have some knowledge of PC gaming. And yeah, I like plug and play. One of the reasons why consoles are so appealing to people. A lot of people don't want to deal with all the extra stuff. Just plug and play, have fun. Lemmings pre-order games. That's right. Utechnics game has had an easier paint shop than anything. The best paint shop ever, Utechnics. That's the only positive thing I will ever say about Utechnics. I don't know. I think Motorsport Games has been so bad that people just they ugh, they don't remember how bad Utechnics was. I do not trust real Radman. Yeah, I don't want to fucking. I really don't want to. I don't feel right. Like I don't want to keep hammering the guy. I think I've said everything I could say. I'm only gonna say one more thing about Captain Sleeveless. The latest video, even the latest video, he's finally admitting that Dimitri is to blame. But even then, he's kind of pulling his punches. But at least he's admitting it. Um, he's creating a straw man argument saying that people are blaming the workers too much. I don't really see that. I think most people are placing the blame that where it belongs. They know it's the fucking management at the top, Dimitri and his minions. But in today's video, towards the end, go watch it yourself. I don't want to cover it too much. He fucking goes back. He still promotes the idea that because of the license that these developers have to release the game no matter what each year, even though he just witnessed this year we did not, I mean, not this year, 2022, we did not get a NASCAR game. They delayed it, which I fucking told people from day one, stop spreading this bullshit that the license forces developers to release a broken game no matter what because there's a deadline and they don't have a choice. That's a fucking lie. Where do people like this get that idea? It's just something they just started and people take it and run with it. There is absolutely no truth to that idea. If you create a product and it's not ready, you just don't release it. You don't. You delay it, you work on it, you make sure that it's in a playable state. That's what you're supposed to do. Only in the video game industry do people come up with ridiculous garbage like licensing deals force developers to release a game no matter what condition it's in. It's stupid. I've been telling you guys this for the past couple of years. And that comment is just, that's where I fucking lose my shit. Because I'm like, I really don't want to fucking keep being negative and going after people. I don't want to keep doing it. I really don't. I don't enjoy it. I've said everything I think I could say. I stand 100% behind it. And he admitted also in his video today that people, his own fucking members in Patreon, make fun of him. They keep telling him he takes money that he gets paid by Motorsport Games. Everybody's saying it. They're making fun of him. He admits it, and then he says that it doesn't bother him as long as it's like a joke. You have 70,000 plus people subscribe to you. You should care. You should care that so many people keep accusing you of taking money. That's a problem. That's your credibility, okay, is is compromised. And he doesn't understand that. He doesn't understand how that can damage your credibility. And people, they tune in because they think they're getting good information. And he keeps telling people, all I care about is the games. I don't want to talk about the shit going. I don't know about what's going on behind the scenes. He doesn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole because it's all bad and he doesn't want to go there. But he only cares about the games. If you care about the games, then you should know by now the only place you're getting any information, because they're not coming out with information, they're not being forthright. It's coming out through their fucking investor calls and these fucking leaks coming from disgruntled workers and other sources. But he downplays it all. He tries to act like, I don't want to talk about this stuff. And you know what? He can talk about whatever he wants. It's his channel. But when you come out and you're just telling people shit like this, and then you're still telling people that because of the licensing deal, they have to release a game. And then he's like, this game, okay, hold on. As it says over here in the title, reportedly delayed. It's probably delayed to 2024. I mean, really, you think this company's going to be around then? But he's like, well, even he believes it's going to be delayed. But then at the end of the fucking video, he's like, but can it be delayed because of the license? They have to release a game, so it has to come out. And then he looks at last year. He doesn't say, well, they delayed it. So that debunks the whole licensing deal forcing developers to release a game every year. That whole Motorsport Games debunked it by delaying the game. But then he says, well, they did release the NASCAR 22 DLC, and maybe that counts. And that's the kind of shit that gets to me. So if you think that I don't want to fucking do this. I don't want people to look and say, now I'm kicking a guy when he's down. And, you know, I don't, I've never been about seeking attention and shit like that. You guys know that. Look, my fucking subscriber count is pathetic. But I don't ask people to like and subscribe. I don't make money doing this. I do this because I care about what I'm talking about. Right? So I don't do this. I don't do it for attention, but that needed to be addressed. Nobody's really talking about it. One guy, Ryan Moody, addressed it a year ago, and but I don't want to keep doing it. I don't want to keep fucking. I don't want to cover every time he fucking makes an ass out of himself, because he is. His own fucking members who send money to him on Patreon say he takes money. Now, I'm going to remind you people, I've never said that. So I don't want people to think I agree with that. I don't think they've ever given him a dime. I don't think he gets money from them. So when he tells you he doesn't get money from them, I actually believe him. I just don't believe it. They don't even pay their own fucking workers. They're not paying 30 of their workers in Russia. You think they're going to pay this guy on YouTube? I think he does what he does. He just does it on his own because they were nice to him. They're not paying him. But that licensing deal bullshit, I fucking hate it. That kind of shit bothers me. Anybody, whether it's him or anybody, whenever you hear someone say, well, they have to release it because of the license, that's a fucking lie. Game developers delay things all the time. In fact, anybody that releases a broken product cannot blame a licensing deal for it. They knew the shit wasn't ready. They knew it was broken, and they rushed it out anyway. That's a choice they made. Did they make the same choice in 2022? No. They said we're not releasing a game. We're fucking waiting to 2023. And I said, okay, that's a somewhat decent decision. Don't release something if it's not ready. And this guy sees this. Motorsport Games themselves proved his bullshit wrong, and he's still saying it today. And that's the kind of shit that bothers me. And I don't enjoy fucking. I don't want to keep doing it. But his own Patreon members make fun of him, saying you take money from Motorsport Games, and he thinks it's funny. He says he doesn't mind. He says as long as it's a joke, and doesn't realize. Don't you realize this means that people basically are calling you a shill, that you're bought? Why would anyone be cool with that? Like, that would bother me if people thought I was a shill or I was dishonest. That my credibility means everything to me, and I don't fucking make a dime doing this. The fact that people respect me because they feel like even if I don't agree with you, I know that you're not bullshitting, like you really believe what you're saying. They respect that. That means more to me than anything. Your credibility is everything. If you are in this space, especially if you fucking make money doing this, you don't see other YouTubers that were also got the red carpet treatment from Motorsport Games. They don't say anything because they understand, if I can't say anything positive, let me just stay out of it. And I actually, that's the smart thing to do. They stay in their lane, they go do their thing, and they're like, I'm not touching this. This is the only guy that consistently has, for an entire year, downplayed the shit, said that people criticizing the game were crybabies. He did another video that called people that were criticizing him haters, and that they work at gas stations. Like, I don't know if he thought that was some kind of put down, but then he got blowback. And then he did a video apologizing. He said, I didn't mean nothing by that. And he apologized, right? And that's commendable, right? He showed a moment there of clarity, and he says, maybe I went too far. I respect that. But calling people that criticize a product they spent money on, legitimately one of the worst products ever in the video game space, crybabies, because he's protecting the Motorsport Games. Who do you think Dmitry Kozko, that first investor call after the disastrous release, who do you think he was referring to when he was telling his investors, we have people uh, saying good things about us? Who do you think they were talking about, that Dmitry was talking about? We know he was talking about Captain Sleeveless. We know that. His own fucking community knows it. And I'm telling you, they've been saying he's bought, that he's paid by Motorsport Games, and he thinks it's funny. Whatever. I don't want to keep talking about him. I thought, especially recently, it seemed like he was having a moment of clarity, like finally waking up. He did do a video saying that, um, yeah, the shit doesn't look good. The game might not come. That, you know, uh, management, whatever. But he downplays the shit where they're actually not paying their fucking, that's a big fucking deal, man. You got 30 fucking people in a studio in Russia that haven't been paid since October. And you still don't see this guy, the CEO, for the fucking con man that he is, making millions and millions of dollars in running the worst performance by a CEO that I can ever remember. If anyone deserves not to get paid, it's him. And he won't pay these fucking people. This is absolutely disgusting. But let's move on. I'm gonna try not to. I don't want to continue to be like, hey, this guy's really. I don't want to bash him too hard. It's just whatever. Let him fucking say what he wants. It's just those things I have to point it out because he has a large subscriber base. Stop fucking telling people he doesn't know what he's talking about. Telling people that because of the license deal, these guys have to release a game every year. He's still saying that. I couldn't fucking believe it. Okay, and in our 2003, you can customize everything: tire grip, tire wear, AI. Yeah, I know, man. That game is fantastic. It really is. I heard Captain Sleeveless say he does not care about anything until the new game comes out. He's been saying this for a year. I only care about the games. He's, the only time we get information is when we look at all this shit behind the scenes, the things he doesn't want to look at or talk about. That's why he's so misinformed. He just doesn't want to know, or he's. What sucks is NASCAR and IndyCar can really benefit from a good game. I've been saying that my last couple videos. I've been telling you these organizations, or the NASCAR, the brand is suffering. They just stand around with their thumbs up their asses, and they're just like not doing anything. And NASCAR is the laughing stock of the video game community. Photoshop software is way easier to use than anything you Technics ever did. Well, the the paint booth, I will admit, was difficult to use. It was not easy to use, but it was still a good paint booth. Like they could have streamlined it, made it easier to use, but man, you could design a lot of things. And I know it's not for everybody, but that was the most fun I had with any Technics game. The time that I spent just creating paint schemes, because fucking playing the game was ass. Unfortunately, people don't buy these games just to be in a paint booth. They want to fucking enjoy the racing. It's part of the game. That's not modding. NASCAR signing a 10-year contract with an unproven developer still proves. Well, look, I want to. They originally made that mistake with 704. That 10-year license agreement really didn't start with Motorsport Games. It started with 704. And I remember because when they did that, I told you guys, I said this is insane. Why would you commit 10 years to a small developer? And that was after they released. I think that was after they released. What was the fucking first game called? It was a fucking horror show. My brain is scrambled right now, but that was terrible. But then, so when Motorsport Games bought them out, I suppose they bought out the license agreement with it, and I guess NASCAR just said, okay, we're okay with signing off on this. Um, so that's what really happened. But still, 10-year contract license deal with anybody is insane. You got to be fucking crazy. All I have in NASCAR 2003 is an AI difficulty setting. JC, look up 2003 reflap videos. What if got 25 wins on World of Outlaws? The game will surely congratulate him and again and again and again. Yeah, I saw that. Um, they still use the fucking those live action videos where each driver's reading off a fucking card and they're just staring, no emotion. Congratulations, I showed that in my last video. That's fucking hilarious. Um, that's what I mean, right? I do trust that Monster Games and iRacing can develop a good game. I trust that they are capable of it. But man, it scares me. They're still fucking doing that. That's fucking cringe. All right, it's almost 9:30. It's getting late. I'm gonna try to stick around a little longer before I sign off. Motorsport Games is not capable of producing more than a mediocre game at this point. Not sure they're even capable of making a bad game. NASCAR games just don't feel immersive. I dreamed back on 2006 that those games would be super immersive, filled with exploration. Just feels NASCAR games are so behind. Yeah, they've been behind. Man, they just haven't. They are behind. They're just still bare bones. Agree with you, Disco. I thought the games were okay. Beats the crap out of what Motorsport Games released. Yeah, they were okay. And that's the thing, right? Motorsport Games is so bad that people are looking back at games that are mediocre and they're elevating them to something they really aren't. But it's comparing it to this, then it looks look, NASCAR Heat Evolution is a good game look compared to this. That so what does that tell you? It's I'm not throwing a parade for these older games. They're not that good. I think Redman is just naive and got played. He is naive, but I can't believe he's that fucking naive. I don't know, man. I don't think he's getting paid. I really believe him. They're not paying him. They don't pay their own fucking workers. Hey, what's up, Volts? Late to the party. Yep. But I appreciate you coming and hanging out. You Technics put out NASCAR games with the most stupid AI imaginable. Yes, thank you. Somebody remembers. And it just wasn't in their skill set to fix it all. It made the most important part of racing miserable, but the paint shop was epic. Thank you. That was basically my review. I told you that the AI was atrocious. It was horrible. Hey, Mr. Mike. Good to hear from you, man. I hope you're doing well, man. Fuck, I go down a little bit and I miss. All right, I gotta go down slow. IndyCar never will have a game, it seems like. Well, they're still saying it's right around the corner. It's too close for me to just dismiss it. Like, you have to be crazy to say, yeah, it's coming, it's about to come out. Because they said spring, that's within the next 3 months. I don't know. And they haven't released any fucking screenshots or footage. Did you ever see Captain Sleeveless put the sleeves on? Yeah, actually, his last couple of videos, he's had the sleeves on. I'm wondering if I'm sure somebody must have mentioned it, not from me, but just like I noticed some people even on Twitter just that the name has taken on a life of its own. But the last few videos, he's got that Arsenal jacket on, so I don't know. Is he in his Clark Kent mode? Maybe. I'm just joking. The Captain Sleeveless thing is a joke. So if you are a fan of his, don't take it personal. I don't I don't hate the guy I don't have anything personal. It's just professionally the way he's handled this whole motorsport games thing. This has been going on over a year. There are just things that needed to be addressed. I think it's just my opinion. You could disagree. Hey, Jareth, what's up, man? Good to see you. If NASCAR said they had to put a game out every year, they were pulled the license by now. They can't do that. It just doesn't make sense. Why would you even shoehorn any company into a corner when you've witnessed how hard it is to make a game and to force them into yearly releases? It's like, no, that's not a fucking thing. You're being factual and unbiased is awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that because credibility is everything. And if you don't believe in somebody, or at least that they believe what they're talking about, in my opinion, what's the point? Why would you tune in and listen to a long winded talker like myself unless you felt somebody was being a straight shooter. And that's all I'm trying to be. I've had people disagree with me on lots of things, and I don't take it personal. And, I'll either disagree with you and I'll try to, you know, convince you of why I feel I'm right. Or if I feel like, hey, maybe you got a point, I'll admit I'm wrong. I mean, that's the only two options to me. Uh, yeah, he says he sees the glass half full. It's just fucking bullshit. It's just that the half empty part of the glass, he just doesn't want to address it. Work at gas stations as a put down. That's fucked up. Yeah, I remember that, man. I think he took that video down, but I remember it was like almost immediately he ended up putting a video saying, I just, he did apologize. I remember that. But that was like his address, I think, addressing the haters, because people were starting to call him out. And instead of addressing the actual content of what they were saying, he was just saying they're haters, right? And to me, if you can't even defend yourself and that's your defense. And then he says that he's matured, that's why he doesn't get mad about all this stuff like he used to. Well, he's matured, but then his response to criticism is to call people haters. That's juvenile. There's nothing mature about that. I guess he thought it was a put down, gas station workers. The glass don't even exist. Captain Sleeveless. Yeah, maybe this thing takes on. Maybe everybody refuses to call him. I don't want to don't do that. Like, that's mean. I found it crazy Motorsport Games wasn't making money but sponsoring BJ McLeod. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, even Austin Aganowski pointed that out. It's like all the money's going to Dimitri's pocket and to these lavish promotions. Sponsoring a car is expensive, and then putting these setups at the track for people to play a game that sucks, it's not really helping. It's not helping. You're showing people in real time at the track how bad your game is. You're spending money on that. It's insane. And then you're not paying the people working on the game. Anybody that downplays what this company's doing should be ashamed of themselves. BJ McLeod has to pay them. Yeah. Um Honestly, I think BJ, if you were to ask him, I think he would be like, look, I got to do whatever I got to do to get sponsorship. You got to do whatever pays the bills. I don't think he's proud to be in the game or to be a part of it or to have the sponsorship. He just wants good games. Yeah, that's his fucking mantra. So can we agree Monster Games needs the license back? Um, Remember, Monster Games is a developer under iRacing. iRacing would be the one getting the license. And yeah, I don't care who gets the license. I don't want exclusivity. Let anybody make the fucking game. NASCAR needs to start worrying about how these games help promote their brand. And it hasn't been working out for them. Whatever fucking peanuts they're getting from these deals, it doesn't compare to what a good game could do for them promotion wise. Last few days, yep, he's had the sleeves on. I'm thinking, man, somewhere he heard Captain Sleeveless, and he's maybe I don't know. He's starting to wear sleeves. Yeah, it can't be a coincidence. I don't know. Us begging for Monster Games to have NASCAR back really tells us a lot. I honestly think they are capable. They have they do seem to care, right? I'm not a. I just. I think when with World of Outlaws, they just wanted to put something out quick, and they did a commendable job. It really does look like a decent game, and it does seem to be more detailed than the Heat games. But I'm just saying, overall, it does kind of look like Heat, and those fucking live video, you know, uh, messages. Holy shit! I can't believe they're still doing that. So those things do worry me, but I do think they could do a good job. This goes true. Monster didn't come on. Yeah, Monster Games did 704 Games was developing its own game. When they came out with uh, Heat Evolution, okay, they did their own. They had their own guys working, and they were the publisher and developer. Okay, and it wasn't, I think, until the third game when they hired Monster Games. Right? They Monster Games was a contractor, right? So they didn't Monster Games wasn't under like 704's umbrella. They were a third party. So they like went to them, they said, you know, help us build the game. And I think they helped continue building the game along with 704 guys. Don't quote me on that, but I do remember they still had people in 704 working side by side with Monster Games. So Monster Games took over by the third game, and I think that's why you did notice a big improvement with NASCAR Heat 4. The AI got a lot better, and I do think that was because of Monster Games. So, yeah. Hold on a second. I lost my spot. NASCAR 14-15 had the best paint booth ever. Agree. NASCAR Heat 4 had something like that. Yeah. These games are always missing basic fucking features, man. iRacing has owned Monster for over a year now, which is why we want them back, because iRacing would then be the devs. Well, iRacing owns Monster Games. They also own another group of developers called Orantes Games. Orantes something. I'm sorry. But I know it's Orantes something. So these people work for iRacing. They're not third party. They actually are owned. These studios are owned by iRacing. So uh, iRacing would be the uh, the people getting the license. They would be the publisher, and the guys at Monster Games and this Orantes, whatever. I don't know if they're still separate or they merged, whatever, but they are under the iRacing umbrella. They would be working on the game. That's how it is. So, unlike with 704, Monster Games is not a third party. They're not like a separate contractor. They actually are owned by iRacing. So they are employees of iRacing. They are actually part of iRacing. They don't work on the service online service. They work on video games only because iRacing is now a video game publisher, and that's why they're doing this. If your Technics had better AI, they would have been decent. Yeah, the AI was the fucking worst thing about it. Plus, they didn't have any presentation either. But if they had good AI, yeah, the AI, I've been telling people for years, for me, it's the most important aspect of the gameplay. I think even if you're driving shopping carts, terrible handling and physics, but if the AI was good, you would still have a good time. It would still be fun. I'm not saying physics are not important or, handling and all that. That's not what I'm saying. But the importance of AI is So underrated. It will make or break any racing game. True on the NASCAR contract, 10 years, 704. Yep. I'm having to scroll backwards in chat like 30 minutes to find where Disco is. Disco, how's it, brother? How you doing, Dylan James? TV, welcome. Fun fact, Bob Pockris said NASCAR can't afford to do the R&D to increase horsepower. What? I don't know. I gotta look into that. Maybe they're making an excuse because they're tired of people complaining about not having more horsepower. And they're probably just saying, right now we don't have the money. Shut up. Stop nagging us about it. I think that's what it is. Don't tell me they don't fucking, they can't do some, come on. They could do R&D to increase horsepower. I think they need to add a bunch of things in the Heat 5 DLC to make it worth it. Forget about that Heat DLC. If they release it, I don't, forget about it, man. Let's be honest, Captain Sleeveless has rug burns and lockjaw. That's good. That's a good one. BJ has a small team and they need sponsors. That's exactly right. He can't afford to be turning down fucking sponsors because, they're a shit sponsor. Who knows? Who knows? Uh, if I was guessing, that maybe I'm sure they haven't fully paid for that sponsorship. They probably owe BJ money. I mean, I'm just, that's speculation on my part, but it wouldn't shock me if they didn't pay in full. They probably fucking have a big IOU on that. Monster Games logos on the back of NASCAR Heat Evolution and NASCAR Heat 2. Really? I could have sworn maybe you're right. I mean, if it's on the back of the Heat Evolution box, okay, maybe I'm wrong. Am I fucking remembering wrong? I could have sworn Monster Games came along later. Like they weren't there at the beginning. I maybe I stand corrected. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Thank you, JC 1424. I didn't know. Where did I fucking hear that? I could have like am I the only one? Okay, I stand corrected. R&D increase horsepower. Yeah, you just grabbed. Yeah, okay. Well, I stand corrected. Where did I hear that? Am I hearing things? Did I fucking hear this somewhere or read it somewhere? I could have sworn there was at some point some information that was like Monster Games joined 704 to help development, like later. They weren't. I could have sworn. Well, I stand corrected, I guess. Um, I'm gonna hang out for another 5-10 minutes maybe, and then I gotta call it a night. Uh, I gotta be somewhat responsible, and it's been a while. But I thank you guys for you know hopping in and spending some time and having an open discussion. And as I say that, the phone. Give me 1 second. Hello, engineer. Okay. Dame llamarte para atrás. Un poco, yo te llamo para atrás. En 2 minutos te llamo. Okay, bye. Okay, and Monster Games ran the Heat series all the way. Okay, so Nashville. Yeah, Nashville's a bit far. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure where I'm going this year. Uh, my work schedule is hectic. Uh, it's tough for me to plan things like that right now. I think. if I get a chance, I may go to Pocono or Dover. I usually hit those. Nashville looks like a super cool track. Yeah, it would be cool, but I don't think I'll be going to Nashville, at least not this year. Great track. Yeah. Um, and yeah, like I said, somebody else did confirm Monster Games was there the entire way. I don't where did I could not have imagined that Monster Games came along later, but it is what it is. Oh man, I appreciate that. Yeah, I doubt I'll be able to go this year, man. Maybe next year, but I may be able to go to like either Dover or Pocono. One of those I may hit this year. I'll let you guys know, and if anybody's local and they want to like just say hello, at the track, I'll obviously let you guys know. All the way, not all the way, just from 2000 to 2019, because in 2020 they were contracted by Tony Stewart, but they were there from the beginning. I mean, wow, that's kind of shocking to me that Monster Games. Wow, I don't know what to say, but thanks for correcting me on that. Honestly, makes me scared. NASCAR fan, gaming fan, I think with the next car. Yeah, look, man, we've had nothing but shit games, one shit game after the next. And like I told you guys earlier this year, I already told you the the next NASCAR game is going to be a few years away. Unless, I mean, I don't see how we can get something earlier than 2 years, right? And even that is a stretch. And these guys still are holding on for dear life. NASCAR is not doing shit. So how much longer are they going to hold on? How long is this going to drag out? Nobody knows. So I hate to tell you guys, it's going to be a long fucking time before we get a fucking NASCAR video game. It sucks, man, but I wish I had better news. I'm flying across the country to Pocono this summer. Cool. Um, I, if I end up going, I will, in one of my videos, I'll announce it. And if I go to Pocono, I'm always in the what the fuck? I forgot what it's called. The something terrace. It's these seats way up at the top. They're really good seats. It's in the shade. And you get free food. It's worth it. I recommend it to anyone. If you can get tickets, go to that terrace. That's where I always go. Yeah, it's an underrated track, especially live. It's great. The best racetrack, in my opinion, from all the racetracks I've been to. I'll talk more about that in another video, but is Dover. Dover live, I'm talking about. It's the best, just visual. It's 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 big when you're there, but it's not too big. You can see everything. If you got good seats, it's just a really good race live. I'm not saying on TV it's the best live on TV. It's the best live at the track that I've been to. So yeah, I gotta go. There's the phone rang. I got some things I gotta do. I'm at work. Uh, thank you for hopping in tonight, and I appreciate all the feedback. And let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna call it a night. Thanks to everybody who joined. So later.